Okay, welcome back to Chapter 6, this time on enumeration. These are the objectives for this chapter. Now, enumeration takes port scanning, which was the last topic, to the next level. Port scanning discovers live systems on a network, so that the next steps are finding out what resources are shared. Okay. Discovering logon information, gaining access, etc. Enumeration involves connecting to a remote system and not just identifying a system. Enumeration is more intrusive, right? This is the intrusive part of testing. And not having permission from the network owners for this step could result in being charged with criminal offenses. So be very, very careful. Having rules of engagement in place that clearly defines the actions and have it signed by everybody involved. In this step, you attempt to receive information and gain access to servers by using company employees' logon accounts, right? And so that's the knowledge and the information we've been getting through all this reconnaissance. So knowledge of the operating system and how they store information can be helpful in this step. So Nbt Scan is useful, right? And which is Netbios over TCP/IP, right? Which is a tool that can be used for enumerating Windows OSs. So in a zone transfer, we use the dig command, as you recall from the previous lesson, and discover what computers are live on a network. Well, now in this next step of security testing called enumeration, the process of extracting the following information from the network, like the resources, the topology, the architecture, users' names and groups, recent login times, right? So we use port scanning and footprinting first to determine what OSs are used. Then enumeration is more intrusive, as I said, because we're not just identifying the resource, you're attempting to access it. And sometimes this process entails guessing passwords and determining a username, right? Guessing email addresses, right? And based on the format. So we use Nbt Scan, right? Nbt means Netbios over TCP/IP. So we use Nbt Scan as a tool for enumerating these Windows OSs. Okay. Now, to understand how the attacker might gain access to resources or shares on a Windows network, the book addresses enumerating Windows operating systems, right? And that's really the focus of this entire chapter. It relates to enumeration in Windows systems. Very little information really can be enumerated from Windows systems after Windows 7, but we'll have a discussion about it. Enumerating Windows, by default, these are some of the systems, operating systems that Windows has, and a little background on each of those if you are unfamiliar. There are other operating systems outside of Windows. Remember, Apple, Linux, Unix, etc. There are others, but beyond that. But we're focused on Windows here. Now, the Netbios basic. So the Netbios is a network basic input-output system, right? And these are programming interfaces that allow computers to communicate over the LAN. So most Windows OSs use it to share files and printers, and it requires an SMB, a server message block, right? And you'll want to define Netbios names, right? Computer names on the Windows systems, right? Which have limits, 16 characters. The last character identifies the type of running service, must be unique on a network, for example. Okay. So with Netbios, I mentioned, those are some good rules. Okay. You do not need to memorize all these suffixes, right? But note that some identify the computer or server being enumerated as standalone, or some as a domain controller. And hackers often exert more effort to attack domain controllers. For these systems, they store more information, including logon names and user accounts and network resources. Now, Netbios null sessions. A null session is an anonymous connection to an inter-process communication network on Windows-based computers. The service is designed to allow named pipe connections. By using a named pipe, you can establish a process where one process writes to a pipe and another reads from a pipe with really not much concern about trying to time or carefully orchestrate the interaction. It just simplifies the interaction, the pipe. But it may be used by hackers to remotely gather information about the system. So you can easily prevent a null session connection hacks by implementing one or more of the following measures. For example, you could block Netbios on your Windows server by preventing these TCP ports from passing through your network firewall or a personal firewall. And that would be like port 139, Netbios session services. The Nbt Stat command is a diagnostic tool for Netbios over TCP/IP. It's diagnostics. Its primary design is to help troubleshoot Netbios name resolution problems, right? And the command is included in several versions of Microsoft Windows. Okay. Another built-in Windows tool is the NetView command, which shows shared resources on a network host, etc. Okay. This is just a broad overview. Netbios enumeration tools can also, you can also use the IP address or host name of computers that we discovered in our reconnaissance or footprinting with port scanning tools. Now, although you can download or buy enumeration tools, we really want to take advantage of the tools available in Windows. A simple command line utility can give us the name of a logged on user, and users' passwords can then be guessed in order to access the system. Additional enumeration tools include dumpsec, right, which allows a user to connect to a server and dump, right, and hence the name dumpsec. Dumpsec is really a security auditing program that Microsoft Windows offers, and it dumps permissions like DACLs and audit settings, SACLs. It dumps the permissions for the file system, for the registry, for printers and shares in a concise, readable list box format. And with that, holes in the system are readily apparent, right? The holes in permissions for shares, permissions for printers, permissions for registry, etc. Okay. The HYNA is used by tens of thousands of system administrators worldwide over the last couple of decades, really. HYNA is designed to both simplify and centralize nearly all day-to-day Active Directory management tasks, while providing new capabilities all the time are being added for system administrators. It has excellent GUI capability. It's a good tool, right? To simplify, again, the day-to-day Active Directory management tasks. We already discussed Nessus and OpenVAS in the previous chapter. A little bit more here from a practical experience. Okay. And continuing with the Nessus. Now, enumerating NIX operating systems. So NIX is really just short for Unix family, right? The Unix family is a family of multitasking, multi-user computer operating systems that started originally with AT&T Unix, developed in the 70s at Bell Labs, but and all of these others are variations of Unix today. right? And recall, just to remind you in this lesson, that enumeration is defined as the process of extracting usernames, machine names, network resources, shares, and services from a system. And so this gathered information is used to identify the vulnerabilities or weak points in a system's security that we or the hacker would be trying to exploit in the system gaining phase, right? SNMP is another example of how we can do enumeration using the network protocol. Okay. Same with SNMP walk, discussed in the book a little bit. This is just a broad overview of enumeration for this week. Okay. Now we talked Nmap in Chapter 5. Nmap script scanning can also help the attacker gain access to remote NICS hosts. Okay. And then there's the finger utility, which is an older, sometimes useful enumeration tool for security testers and hackers. It also helps you find a way to find out who is logged into a NICS system. It's like fingerprinting. The finger daemon listens on TCP port 79. That really is it. I just wanted to give you a quick high-level summary of enumeration, as it's an important part of your overall job as a security tester. It takes us to the next level.